Ever wonder why some gun collectors would rather go bankrupt than sell certain pieces from their vault? Today we're exposing the 10 firearms that seasoned collectors guard with their lives. Weapons so rare and valuable that parting with them would be considered nothing short of betrayal to the shooting community. We're talking about guns that have skyrocketed from modest investments to six-figure treasures, pieces that governments have tried to confiscate, firearms that manufacturers refuse to reproduce, and historical weapons that hold secrets the establishment doesn't want you to know about. If you're thinking about liquidating your collection or you've inherited grandpa's gun safe, this video could save you from making a $1 million mistake. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like, because what I reveal at number 1 will absolutely shock you. A firearm so controversial that even mentioning its name starts heated debates. And you need to watch until the very end to discover why this particular weapon has become the holy grail that collectors are literally hiding from the world. Number 10. Pre-1986 Transferable Machine Guns. Let's kick this off with what might be the most explosive investment in the firearms world. If you own a transferable machine gun registered before May 19, 1986, you're sitting on liquid gold that only appreciates. The Hughes Amendment effectively closed the machine gun registry to civilians forever, creating a fixed supply with ever-increasing demand. Recent sales data from 2024 and 2025 tells an incredible story. A Colt M16A1 converted to M4 specifications sold for $125,000 in October 2024 on Gunbroker. Virtually brand new and only factory test fired. Compare that to the $15,000 these same guns commanded in 2003, and you're looking at over 700% appreciation in just 2 decades. The Thompson M1928 submachine guns, those iconic gangster weapons, are fetching between $22,000 and $40,000 depending on condition and provenance. Rock Island Auction sold the J.C. Benjamin M60 in May 2025 for $105,750, while standard M60s hover around $75,000 to $80,000. Here's what makes this controversial. Only about 240,000 transferable machine guns exist for civilian ownership nationwide. Half are owned by private citizens, half by government agencies. Since 1934, only 2 homicides have involved legally owned machine guns, and one was committed by a law enforcement officer. These aren't crime guns. They're investment vehicles wrapped in steel and history. An HK MP5, the weapon of choice for counterterrorism units worldwide, recently reclassified as fully transferable, commanded $117,500 for a factory original specimen at Rock Island Auction in May 2025. The controversy deepens when you realize that post-1986 machine guns manufactured for law enforcement cost only $600 to $1,000, while pre-1986 transferables of the same model cost $40,000 to $125,000. You're not paying for the gun, you're paying for the registration date. RDIS conversions, those registered drop-in auto-sears, averaged $12,000 in 2003 and now command $50,000. Prior to 1981, these same parts sold for just $29.95 each. Selling one of these is like burning money while watching your wealth evaporate. Number 9. First Generation Colt Python, 1955 to 1969. The Colt Python isn't just a revolver. It's a hand-fitted masterpiece that represents an era of American gunmaking that will never return. Produced from 1955 to 2005, with special orders until the line discontinued. These revolvers were individually hand-fitted and hand-polished by skilled craftsmen. Those skills are virtually extinct in modern manufacturing. Market data from December 2024 shows Python prices in stratospheric territory. A rare consecutive pair of Colt Boa revolvers, a Python variant made exclusively for Lou Horton distributors in 1985, sold for $52,875 at Rock Island Auction. A California Combat Python, with only 200 ever manufactured, achieved $70,500 in May 2022. The Colt Python Snake Eyes set fetched $33,276 in November 2024. while a 1962 second-generation Python in excellent condition commands between $8,000 and $16,000 depending on barrel length and finish. First-generation Pythons from 1955 to 1969 are the most desirable, identifiable by serial numbers without letters. These were entirely handcrafted before CNC machining took over. A mint-condition nickel 1955 Colt Python sold for $30,050 to a collector. The legendary royal blue finish from the 1950s through 1970s, richer and deeper than later bluing processes, add significant premium. Experimental and rare calibers command astronomical prices. A Python chambered in .256 Winchester Magnum sold for $40,250, while a .22 Magnum rimfire Python used in the 1981 Colt catalog reached $23,000. The Python's value has increased over 200% in the past decade alone. Standard specimens in average condition now range from $2,000 to $8,000, with collector-grade examples routinely exceeding $15,000 to $25,000. Special editions like the Python Hunter, Python Stalker, and Python Silhouette, produced in extremely limited runs of 200 to 600 units, command $4,000 to $10,000. Here's the kicker. Colt will likely never reproduce the original Python because the hand fitting and polishing required would make the retail price prohibitively expensive. Most collectors would rather invest in vintage originals than pay premium prices for modern reproductions lacking the craftsmanship and soul of the originals. Number 8. Winchester Model 1873, 1 of 1,000. Called the gun that won the West, the Winchester Model 1873 is American frontier history in steel and walnut. But we're not talking about standard production models here. The legendary 1 of 1,000 and 1 of 100 variants are among the most coveted firearms on Earth. Winchester's marketing genius created these ultra-rare variants by selecting barrels that shot exceptionally accurately during factory testing. Out of every 1,000 Model 1873 rifles manufactured, Winchester would identify the absolute best shooting examples and mark them 1 of 1,000 or 1 of 100 depending on performance. These carried significant price premiums even when new. Of approximately 720,000 Model 1873 rifles produced, only 136 were marked 1 of 1,000, and just 8 carried the 1 of 100 designation. Today, authenticated examples command six-figure sums. A documented 1 of 1,000 Winchester 1873 can fetch $250,000 to over $500,000 at auction, depending on condition, provenance, and documentation. Standard Model 1873s in excellent condition sell for $8,000 to $25,000, making the premium for these special variants absolutely astronomical. The rifle's place in American mythology, from Hollywood westerns to Native American conflicts, presidential collections, and outlaw legends, creates emotional value that transcends metal and wood. Rock Island Auction Company's data shows that Winchester Model 1873 prices have climbed steadily, with collector interest intensifying for documented examples with historical provenance. Factory letters from the Colt or Winchester archives proving original configuration, shipment date, and specifications add thousands to valuations. The controversy here is authentication. Numerous fakes, remarked guns, and fraudulent special order claims flood the market. Sellers unaware they own genuine rarities often let them go for fraction of true value, while buyers overpay for clever forgeries. Getting expert authentication and factory documentation before any transaction is absolutely critical. Number 7. Original German Luger P08, WWI and World War II. The Luger P08 represents German engineering perfection, with its distinctive toggle lock action and ergonomic design making it one of the most recognizable handguns ever created. Manufactured from 1900 through 1942, with variations produced by multiple contractors, certain Luger variants command premium prices that make collectors guard them jealously. Artillery Lugers with 8-inch barrels and adjustable rear sights, originally issued to German artillery crews, routinely sell for $8,000 to $15,000 in excellent condition. Navy Lugers, distinguished by longer barrels and specific markings, fetch $6,000 to $12,000. But the real treasures are commercial Lugers manufactured before World War I, carrying proof marks, serial numbers, and condition that drive valuations into $5,000 to $20,000 territory. Documented battlefield capture Lugers, particularly those with veteran provenance, historical documentation, and original holsters with matching serial numbers, can exceed $25,000 to $40,000 at specialized auctions. A documented World War I Imperial German Luger with matching numbers, original grips, and near-mint condition achieved $18,000 at Rock Island auction in recent years. Krieghoff Lugers, manufactured by a luxury sporting arms maker contracted during World War II, are exceptionally rare and valuable. The market for Lugers is both sophisticated and treacherous. Matching serial numbers on frame, barrel, toggle, magazine, and grips is essential for maximum value. Import marked Lugers, brought into the United States as war trophies or through commercial imports, show proof marks that can reduce value by 20% to 40% compared to untouched examples. Restoration, rebluing, or replaced parts devastate value. The controversy intensifies around Nazi-marked Lugers, which carry historical significance, but raise ethical questions for some collectors, creating market segmentation where certain buyers pursue them specifically while others avoid them entirely. Number 6. Early Colt Single Action Army Peacemaker, 1873 to 1940. The Colt Single Action Army, universally known as the Peacemaker, is the most iconic American handgun ever produced. Manufactured continuously from 1873 to 1940 for the first generation, then resumed in 1956 for subsequent generations. First-generation SAAs in excellent condition are investment-grade firearms that appreciate consistently. First-generation Colt SAAs in original condition with matching serial numbers, factory-correct finish, and documented provenance routinely command $15,000 to $50,000 depending on era, caliber, barrel length, and historical significance. Documented cavalry issue SAAs with military markings, inspector cartouches, and authentic holsters can exceed $75,000 to $150,000 at major auctions. Engraved SAAs, particularly those by factory engravers or historical masters, achieve six-figure prices. Rock Island Auction sold the Milliken Dragoon, a Colt percussion revolver related to the SAA's lineage, for over $1 million, demonstrating the extreme upper ceiling for documented historical Colt handguns. The famous Black Beauty Colt Single Action Army achieved $1.645 million in May 2025, becoming one of the most expensive guns ever sold publicly. This particular revolver featured exquisite engraving, documented ownership by prominent collectors, and impeccable provenance spanning generations. Standard first-generation SAAs in good shootable condition still command $8,000 to $15,000, while second and third-generation examples range from $2,000 to $5,000. The controversy emerges from widespread faking, parts matching from multiple guns to create correct examples, and modern re-engraving that mimics historical work. The Colt Factory Archive will provide authentication letters for $150 to $300, documenting original configuration when the gun left the factory. Without this documentation, even genuine first-generation SAAs may sell for 30% to 50% below their authenticated potential value. Number 5. Smith & Wesson Model 29.44 Magnum, pre-1980. Clint Eastwood immortalized the Smith & Wesson Model 29 in Dirty Harry, creating instant legend status for what was already a powerful, well-designed revolver. The Model 29, introduced in 1955 chambered for the then new .44 Magnum cartridge, became the most powerful production handgun available to civilians. Pre-1980 Model 29s manufactured before quality control changes and production modifications command significant premiums. Original configuration 4-screw frame Model 29s with pinned barrels and recessed cylinder chambers, produced through the early 1980s, are particularly desirable. These technical features, eliminated for cost-cutting and streamlined production, represent old-world craftsmanship that collectors prize. A mint condition, unfired Smith & Wesson Model 29 with original box, papers, and tools from the 1960s or 1970s can command $2,500 to $5,000, compared to $800 to $1,200 for standard shooter-grade examples. Nickel-finished Model 29s, scarcer than blued versions, add 20% to 40% premium. The rare 3-inch barrel Model 29, produced in very limited numbers, can fetch $4,000 to $8,000 in excellent condition. Hollywood Association creates tangible value. Documented screen-used firearms from Dirty Harry films have sold for $50,000 to over $200,000 at entertainment memorabilia auctions. Even non-screen-used Model 29s benefit from the Dirty Harry mystique, with collectors seeking examples matching the 6.5-inch barrel configuration featured in the films. The Model 29's association with hunting dangerous game, wilderness protection, and American masculinity creates cultural cachet that transcends mechanical specifications. Modern production Model 29s, while mechanically sound, lack the collector appeal and investment potential of pre-1984 screw examples, with original features intact. Number 4. Original Military M1 Garand, World War II. General George Patton called it the greatest battle implement ever devised, and collectors worldwide agree. The M1 Garand served as America's standard infantry rifle throughout World War II in Korea, chambered in .30-06 Springfield and featuring a revolutionary semi-automatic gas-operated action that gave American soldiers significant firepower advantage. Original World War II M1 Garands manufactured by Springfield Armory or Winchester Command, premium prices today. Early production Springfield Garands with original gas trap system, produced before the simplified gas port design, are exceptionally rare and valuable, fetching $8,000 to $20,000 in excellent condition. Standard World War II Springfield Garands in excellent original condition range from $2,500 to $5,000, while Winchester manufactured M1 Garands, produced in much smaller quantities, command $3,500 to $8,000. International Harvester and Harrington and Richardson also produced M1 Garands during Korean War era, with IHC examples particularly desirable to collectors due to lower production numbers. A fully documented combat-issued M1 Garand with veteran provenance, unit markings, and historical paperwork can exceed $10,000 to $15,000 at specialized auctions. Rock Island auction data shows M1 Garand prices have increased over 200% since 2015, with exceptional examples featuring original barrel, stock, operating rod, and matching numbers achieving even higher premiums. The Civilian Marksmanship Program has historically offered surplus M1 Garands to qualified buyers at subsidized prices, but these government sales have dramatically tightened in recent years, reducing supply and driving collector market prices higher. Collector-grade M1 Garands with documented lineage, original parts, and excellent condition represent sound investments that appreciate steadily while offering historical significance and shooting enjoyment. Number 3. Pre-1968 imported collector firearms. The Gun Control Act of 1968 fundamentally altered American firearms importation, establishing sporting purposes criteria that banned numerous military surplus firearms, handguns failing size requirements, and weapons deemed lacking legitimate sporting use. Firearms imported before November 30, 1968, carry pre-ban status that makes them significantly more valuable than identical post-ban imports. German Mauser K98K rifles imported before 1968 in original military configuration command $1,200 to $3,000, while post-1968 imports modified to comply with regulations sell for $600 to $1,200. Russian Mosin-Nagant rifles, once imported by the millions, have seen pre-1968 examples, with original military features, appreciate 300% to 500% over the past decade. A pristine pre-1968 finish M39 Mosin-Nagant can reach $2,000 to $4,000, compared to $400 to $800 for standard examples. Commercial firearms also benefit from pre-1968 status. German Walther PP and PPK pistols imported before the ban, lacking import marks and retaining original finish, command $1,500 to $3,500 compared to $600 to $1,200 for post-1968 imports with required markings. Colt, Smith & Wesson, and Browning firearms produced overseas for the American market before 1968 similarly benefit from collector preference for unmarked examples. The controversy centers on import marking requirements. Post-1968 imports bear permanent markings identifying the importer, caliber, country of origin, and other information stamped into the frame or receiver. Collectors view these markings as defacement that reduces historical authenticity and aesthetic appeal. Some unscrupulous sellers remove or alter import marks to deceive buyers, creating legal liability and diminished value. Authentication of pre-1968 import status requires careful examination, documentation research, and expert verification. These firearms appreciate steadily as supply diminishes through attrition, damage, and export. Number 2. Factory engraved Colt, Smith & Wesson, and Winchester firearms. Factory engraving transforms functional firearms into mechanical art, with hand-engraved examples by master engravers commanding prices that shock casual observers. Factory engraving, performed by acknowledged masters working directly for manufacturers rather than aftermarket engravers, carries provenance and authenticity that make these firearms museum-quality collectibles. A factory engraved Colt Python by master engraver Dennis Keese achieved $54,625 at Rock Island Auction in September 2017, featuring patriotic gold inlays, exhibition-quality coverage, and presentation casing. Colt employed legendary engravers, including Alvin White, who engraved a python presented to radio personality Barry Gray that sold for $20,700. Master engravers like Howard Dove created python masterpieces that exceeded $40,000 at auction. Winchester and Smith & Wesson similarly employed factory engravers who created unique pieces for presentations, exhibitions, and special orders. A factory engraved Winchester Model 1873 with provenance linking it to a historical figure or event can command $100,000 to $300,000 or more at major auctions. Factory engraved Smith & Wesson revolvers by master engravers working in the company's custom shop during the mid-20th century routinely exceed $15,000 to $50,000 depending on coverage, subject matter, and condition. The critical distinction is factory provenance. Aftermarket engraving, even by talented contemporary engravers, adds minimal value and often reduces functionality value below unmodified examples. Factory documentation through archive letters proving the engraving was performed in-house before the gun left the factory is essential for maximum valuation. Counterfeit factory engraving, modern work fraudulently attributed to historical masters, represents a significant authentication challenge requiring expert examination of tool marks, artistic style, and technical execution. Number 1. Original Parker Brothers shotguns, pre-1942. Here's the revelation that will absolutely shock you. The most valuable American firearms aren't exotic military weapons or Hollywood handguns. They're American-made Parker Brothers shotguns produced before the company ceased operations in 1942. These side-by-side doubles represent the absolute pinnacle of American shotgun craftsmanship, and collectors will pay astronomical sums for top-grade examples. Parker Brothers manufactured shotguns in numerous grades, from basic field guns to exhibition-quality masterpieces. The grading system, ascending from VH lowest through PH, GH, DH, CH, BH, AH, AH, A1 Special, and Invincible highest, reflects increasingly elaborate engraving with quality and hand-fitting. Standard-grade Parker V8 shotguns in excellent condition command $4,000 to $8,000. Mid-grade Parker CH or BH examples range from $15,000 to $35,000. But high-grade Parkers enter stratospheric territory. Parker AH shotguns achieve $75,000 to $150,000, while A1 Special grade examples exceed $200,000 to $400,000 at major auctions. The ultra-rare Invincible grade Parkers, with only a handful ever produced, have sold for over $500,000 to collectors pursuing the absolute ultimate in American gunmaking. Rock Island auction data shows that Parker Brothers shotguns have appreciated consistently, with certain grades increasing 400% to 600% over the past 2 decades. A documented presentation-grade Parker with historical provenance or exhibition history can add another $100,000 to $300,000 to base value. Single trigger Parkers, scarcer than double trigger configurations, command premiums of 25% to 50% over equivalent double trigger examples. The Parker Reproduction Shotgun Company attempted to recreate these masterpieces in the 1980s, but even these high-quality reproductions sell for just $6,000 to $12,000, demonstrating that original Parker Brothers' mystique, craftsmanship, and historical significance cannot be replicated. Remington purchased Parker Brothers in 1934 and maintained production until 1942, when wartime demands ended civilian production permanently. No true Parker has been manufactured since, making the surviving population finite and irreplaceable. Selling a high-grade Parker Brothers shotgun is considered near criminal behavior in collecting circles, as these firearms represent American manufacturing excellence that will never be recreated. The skills, materials, time investment, and economic conditions that created these masterpieces disappeared generations ago. Final thoughts. These 10 categories represent firearms whose value transcends simple supply and demand economics. They embody American history, mechanical excellence, cultural significance, and legal restrictions that create perfect storms of appreciation and collector obsession. Whether through federal legislation that closed machine gun registration permanently, craftsmanship traditions lost to modern manufacturing, historical associations that create emotional value, or simple scarcity from limited production, these firearms consistently appreciate while comparable assets depreciate. The firearms market demonstrated remarkable resilience through economic downturns, with collector-grade arms actually appreciating during periods when stocks, real estate, and traditional investments declined. Rock Island Auction Company reported 8.8% sales increase in 2024 compared to 2023, with record-setting prices across numerous categories. New bidders entered the market in unprecedented numbers, demonstrating that firearms collecting is growing rather than contracting. If you own firearms in these categories, safeguard them, document them, insure them, and recognize them as appreciating assets worthy of preservation for future generations. If you're considering selling, understand that you're likely disposing of items that will be worth significantly more in 5, 10, or 20 years than they are today. The firearms you inherited from Grandpa's collection, stored in the back of your safe, or considered selling to fund immediate expenses may represent generational wealth that appreciates tax-free until sale. Remember, they aren't making any more pre-1986 machine guns, pre-1968 imports, first-generation Pythons, or Parker Brothers shotguns. Every example lost to damage, export, or uninformed sale reduces the available supply permanently, driving values higher for surviving specimens. Treat these firearms as the irreplaceable historical artifacts and financial assets they truly represent.